Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Totally Indian Football Show. I'm your host Siju, and I must say that today I don't think I've ever interviewed. I've interviewed players, coaches, club directors, even for that matter, agents. Uh, but this is something different. I've even done a show with strength and conditioning coach. So I think getting someone like a sports doctor was something that I had to follow suit very soon. But I'm so happy to have this gentleman on the show, Doctor Mustufa Poonawalla. He's a sports doctor. He was recently with the FC Goa team. And all of that, I have questions. I'm sure even you have questions. Those who are listening to the show, it'll be very raw conversations. Even though I have put down a few pointers, but I'll be like blankly and asking probably even stupid questions. So bear with me till the end. I'm sure this episode will be interesting to all of you. Thank you so much, Doc, for coming and taking time from your busy schedule and joining on the show. Welcome.
Hi, Siju. Thanks. It's a pleasure to join you on the show.
Great. So let's just start from the scratch, right? I mean, how? Okay, you definitely pursued to become a doctor, and if I may start, what is your specification? Like, what do you specifically do?
So I completed my MBBS in 2016. After that, I was kind of interested in sports-related injuries. So I was kind of keen interest in sports medicine. So that's where it took a turn. And then I thought I got not many people know about this, but I got a full scholarship from Queen's Mary University in London to pursue sports medicine. But somewhere it took a turn and I got through my NEET PG and I took on orthopedics. After completing orthopedic post graduation, I did my sports medicine super specialty where I'm dealing with sports injury arthroscopic and treating them arthroscopically. So it started quite like 10, 12 years back, this journey. And being a sports person, being a sports personality, so it's a great pleasure to help the other athletes and get them back to the game as soon as possible.
Right. I think let's go back a bit more in terms of when you said, okay, you started, studying and you completed your MBBS in 2016. But let's go back. You rightly right now mentioned that, you yourself was a sports player or an athlete. Tell us something more about that.
So I was a sports person. So when I was in military school, I was in a military school since standard fifth standard. That's where I got introduced to football. So since then, I have been representing football, playing football at the zonal level. Then I joined. Then I joined some clubs, local clubs at the grassroots level. I was continue playing with them. Then in the once we took a turn for undergraduation, I represented my college in AIMS, Delhi. Then I represented my college in state level, and I was playing grassroots level as well in Aurangabad. So that's where I got introduced in football. I have basically played states in basketball. I've played zonal level in cricket. So basically, I've been always involved more into sports than academics. That's where I was very keen in sports.
Right. And how did that shift to academics? Because for the role that you play, it's not easy or done overnight. It's years and years of hard work and a lot of, probably burning the midnight oil to get through all of that. So when you mentioned that you're always leaning towards sports and not academics, so when did the academics come into picture?
It was always in the picture, Siju. I just found the right balance to keep both of them going in my personal as well as professional life. It's just you have to find a balance to balance the both academic as well as your sports life. I found a balance during my undergraduation. Even in the busy schedule, I used to take some time out and I used to go out, play around with my teammates, practice with them, and come back and start doing my work again.
Right. And definitely, I mean, because you loved sports so much, even though you pursued MBBS, you definitely had a leaning towards sports even there. So when you started off as that, after create a story there, for you to get that scholarship and get going over there. After that, how was your opportunities and experiences like? Where did it all begin for you to actually deal with players or athletes?
So basically, after my undergraduation, I struggled a lot for 4 years. 4 5 years, I used to send my resume. I used to every club and never used to get an answer. So at the grassroots, I started working at the grassroots level. I started working with local athletes who used to play in Bombay, Thane side, Mulund side. That's where I grew my connection. That's where I got to know the athletes, their injuries, what they expect, what we have to deliver them. So I started it from grassroots level. Then that's where I started and started reaching the top league. But grassroots level is the where which I started on.
Right. And at that level, how, I mean, how much knowledge did you gather about, like you mentioned, you stressed upon the injury side of it, right? Sports injuries. And how do you see now? Has there been a change in the outlook that, where at once upon a time when players played, they just wanted to play. They never recovered, never did. If they had an injury, they would play over it. So how did you try and bring about a change in a player's attitude or a player's mind towards nursing and getting that rehab and recovery?
Oh, there has been a very drastic change, which I used to see like 4 years back, and now players do as soon as they get injured, they go into a panic mode and they want to get themselves back on the field as soon as possible. So they don't aggravate the injury; they immediately get it checked and get their rehab done, visit a physiotherapy, visit a strength and conditioning coach, and then they go on the ground. So there, I have seen a drastic change in last 4 5 years where athletes are, taking care of their body, respecting the injury they have, working on it, and then getting back on the field. So that is the right way to go for any athlete, which I would suggest.
Right. Now you've dealt with players of different age categories. Like you mentioned, you started off with the grassroots level. And now the body type of every athlete at different age is different, right? At every level. So how do you approach that? Or how would, if someone's listening to the show, if there's a young one or an older guy, how can one go about with, as per keeping in mind what their age and how they should behave towards their body?
Keeping in, if I've dealt with athletes who are younger, like under 14, then under 18, and under 22, I would suggest for them to please listen to what other coaches, and rather than just going and playing on a turf, I would suggest go for a proper training, proper stretching exercise, keep the warm up always on your whenever you are practicing or whenever you're going to go out to play. Do injury rehab, injury prevention exercises, which is quite necessary. This is like a general idea for general population, be it a player who's 14 years old or be it a player who's 23, 29, 32 age or so. Even on the professional level, players do practice this. So I would suggest start from young. So it would be way much better for them to continue if they reach an elite league or if they're playing for a professional team. I would suggest keep doing the basic things, stick to the basics. You will go way ahead, and you will be having very much less injury in your professional life.
Right. And before FC Goa, were you part of any club? I'm sorry about my homework. I didn't do that well. But before FC Goa, any clubs that you were part of?
I used to be part of Thane City FC. I'm sure you might have heard of it. It's a very upcoming football club hosted by my good friend Prashant Singh. So I used to visit that whenever they used to practice. I used to be there on the turf whenever in Thane. I have treated players of Mumbai Ultras also who have recently got ligament injuries. Mumbai. So I've been associated with these clubs, and the other clubs were from my own hometown, Dano. So these are the local clubs which I used to attend and be associated with them. But Thane City FC and Mumbai Ultras are the proper professional clubs I've been associated with.
Right. Yeah. I mean, of course, Thane City FC. We featured Prashant and got all the story behind Thane City. Do check that out on our podcast as well. But moving on, Doc, how did then the journey enter? How did you reach Goa?
Oh, that's quite an interesting story. So it was kind of a fluke. I just, if I remember it, I just got operated 5 cases. I had 5 cases posted that day, And so this after 5 operations, I came and I sent my resumes in the morning to all the possible clubs of ISL from Chennai, Kerala, FC Goa, Northeast, Mumbai. So in the evening, director of football, Ravi, contacted me asking, "Hey doc, are you free? Would you like to join FC Goa as a team doctor?" As they were gonna lead to Durand Cup last year. So that's how my journey for FC Goa started.
Right. And please tell us some more your experiences, your journey with FC Goa. Start from there, how you've dealt with the players, and now you were part of an ISL club. So, how different was that for you from grassroots to then having dealt with local clubs, but now you're out there with dealing with international players as well?
Oh, it's a very different league, I must say. When I reached Kolkata and joined FC Goa, it was totally different for me. From treating patients to hospital to treating players on the ground with athletes who have proper knowledge of their injury, how to deal with them. So it was quite a transition for me. But I had a very supporting staff, coach, strength and conditioning coach. My medical team of FC Goa were quite helpful for me to get myself adjusted into the system. So it was quite a big transition for me, but it was really, really amazing to deal with these players with their kind of injury and to be on such a stage. It was a great pleasure for me first. And it was it is a very difficult to because you have to deal with not just national players. You have to deal with players who are under 20. You have to deal with the players who play national team. You have the players who play international levels who are foreigners. So you have to be always on your feet and help them out whenever they can. So it was quite a different experience for me from grassroots and for ISL level. It was quite a different. It's different thing because players from ISL know about their injury, they respect their injury, and they want to get back to ground after they recover fully. So that is what the main difference I felt was when I used to work with grassroots and local clubs and with a professional club. So that's the main difference which I feel.
Yeah, I think the whole part of respecting your body, right? It's so important and key.
Yes, very much.
Now, having gathered all these experience, dealt with players, and you're also at the hospital working. At this point, it's off season for football, but it's all full on season for you as a doctor. Dealing with sports injuries, has any injuries? I mean, of course, I hope there is not much of a greater problems that have come. But have you dealt with an injury where you thought, man, how can I deal with this? It's such a huge thing, and the responsibility is on you to get that athlete or player back well. So has there been any instances that way?
Touch wood, I have not faced any instances like that, and I hope no doctor faces such instances. And such. Even if they face, I'm pretty sure they are ready for those kind of situations to handle it. So during my tenure with ISL, I don't think I faced any such kind of bad injuries which I had doubt if I'll be able to treat that player or no. I used to see, okay, this is the injury, this is how we have to go about it. I never faced such a problem, so that's one good thing. Touch wood, I have not faced such situations.
Great, absolutely. We just pray that you don't have to face any of those. Um, but coming to the whole point of, you mentioned in a while back that when players get injured, they do get onto a panic mode because they want to get back onto the field and play again because that's what they want to do. So I think, I'm sure, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, part of your job would also involve treating them psychologically and treating them mentally as well. Though that also is a different ball game. But while you're treating an injury, which is a physical injury, how do you probably, in your approach or in your rapport that you've built with a player and athlete, how do you talk through them that it's okay, it'll get better, you have to just give it time? How is that process for you? Basically, I'm just coming at your relation with each player because that's a very individual and personal relationship.
Yes, so that's a very good point, Siju. That's a very important and a key part for an athlete. So to make him sane about knowing to make him know about his injury, and we have to respect his injury, And being on the same page with an athlete is very, very much important, because as soon as an athlete hears he's injured and he's going to miss X amount of games, he goes crazy. So you have to make sure that you are making him comfortable. So my approach used to be, if he's injured, okay, give him 2 3 days rest, but make him sure that he's involved with the team. He goes around with the team so that he doesn't feel that left out. Be associated in the gym programs. I used to make an injured player come to the gym and work out on different part of the muscle so that he doesn't feel left out. He doesn't feel that I am injured. We are working on other things which might be weak from his body. So that is how I used to tackle the situation. I used to keep the player involved with the team so that he doesn't feel that he's injured, I won't be able to. So that I used to take that mind off and simultaneously treat other weak points of his, so that kept out the balance. Plus, I had a psychologist with me. So whenever a player used to feel left out or disturbed, so we used to have a sessions with them, with the player, and we used to have a one-on-one session, which used to be a really helpful thing for an athlete at that who plays at that professional level. So that's how we used to deal with the injuries, and that's how I deal with injuries.
Right. Now, I'm sure every role comes with its own challenges and problems, but how has, your role, it's like I mentioned a little while back, that it's the responsibility for you on your shoulders, probably to get, and you and the medical, the entire staff, the team, to get a player back, playing. And that's what even they are expecting as a player. So what has all you've gathered experiences from all levels? What has probably been the most challenging part of your role, and how have you probably overlooked or overcome all of that?
So the most challenging thing for me was the bubble which we were in last year. It was like 8 9 months of bubble. So keeping the spirits high, keeping your mind insane, keeping your mind occupied was a very big challenge for me as well as for the team. And that was a rule by ISL, so we couldn't do anything about it. But that bubble thing was the only thing which I feel is a challenge, and which was very difficult for everybody, for the whole team of FC Goa or any other club associated with ISL. So that is the only thing which I was very much worried about.
Right. Now you've gathered experiences from everywhere. You're also a doctor who practices in the hospital on a daily basis. How has all these experience dealt with, your normal day life, and then with athletes and players in professional levels, shaped your entire journey so far?
Oh, it has shaped a lot. I can't just thank enough for the FC Goa guys to give me this opportunity. I have been treating a lot of athletes since I've come out of the FC Goa thing and started my own practice. I've been dealing with athletes from Kerala. I've been dealing with athletes from Goa. I've been dealing with athletes from Mumbai also, from Mumbai City FC to other local clubs in Mumbai. I've been dealing and helping the players get back to the field. As it was a pre-season, some of the players were contacting me for nutrition part. Some of the players were contacting me for getting their treatments done, or some players even contact me for getting their injured or getting them operated for ligament injury. So it's quite good to get back into the normal world and start. From outside, I feel I can deliver a lot to all other athletes. Apart from the club, also I can deal and help the athletes from the grassroots or from the local clubs. It's quite a good opportunity. It's quite good for me. So post season, I've been dealing with all this kind of things.
Right. Now, coming to the big announcement that you have made, couple of, I think, just probably 2 days back on your LinkedIn page, something I knew way long back, just when you broke it to a common friend of ours. But this is such an
That's
ecstatic
quite
news. I mean,
surprising. You knew it before everybody. That's quite surprising.
yes, yes. Before, in fact, both of us even talking to each other. But yeah, it is a news, and I'm sure you're on top of the world at this point with this news. And I think since you're probably in close proximity to Bombay, I am definitely going to meet you and take a treat before you leave. Uh, but I'm going
Definitely.
to read out read out your post from LinkedIn. It says, "I'm excited to start a new job." So it's definitely Doc is on a new journey, going to be embarking on a new journey, and it is indeed a proud moment because you're associated with Indian football. So I'm sure the team here, especially in the medical side of people that works closely with sports injuries, should take pride in. You're the first Indian doctor to get this opportunity to work besides world's most famous doctor in Europe at the world's best sports institute in Barcelona, and it's a fellowship that you got in arthroscopy, biologics, in orthopedics, and sports injuries. You're going to a dream place for probably many of football fans in Barcelona. And please tell us about from the start, how does this all happen, and what is this all about?
So this I'll tell you, this has started. I've been big Barcelona fan since 2000, I think 8 and 9. I am a big Barcelona fan. So it was quite a dream. As soon as I was into sports, and I had this dream to get into Barcelona, even if once in my lifetime. So in 2017, if I'm not wrong, I started applying for Barcelona club. Even before I was into this ISL grassroots levels, I had just there's a dream which you want to just go there. So I started working on it since 2017. It was like 4 years of waiting, countless interviews, and n number of SOPs I had to write to them. Luckily, I got this opportunity in 2000. After my season got over with FC Goa, I got an email from Barcelona that, okay, we are willing to offer you an fellowship in arthroscopy biologics. And it was like a dream come true. I think I have achieved everything. It felt like that. So that's why I now it was a great opportunity for me. I'm gonna willing. It's going to be a very big opportunity for any doctor as well as any football fan or in any team doctor who is associated with football.
Right. If I had to ask you to break it down a little more in probably simpler terms for us football fans who don't probably understand the language of the medical side of things. So what happens? Like when you go there, you're going to get this. You're going to do the scholarship, and what after that? Like how is that going to be? What's it going to be like?
So after going there, I'll be working with the team doctor of FC Barcelona, where I'll be working with him 24 hours for a couple of months, training under him, how he deals with players, how he deals with players from FCB Barcelona. I'm also, if people know, the head team doctor of FC Barcelona is also a team doctor of Manchester City as well as Paris Saint Germain, PSG. He's an orthopedic surgeon. So all the players from these team also visits him. So I'm hoping I'll be getting to work under him. So I'll be working with him when players are getting tested for their fitness before starting the season. So this is a great time for me that I'll be leaving for FC Barcelona, where I'll be pre-fitness. They are fit, how he evaluates the fitness, how he deals with injuries, what are the new modalities. That is the main reason I'm going to FC Barcelona is what is the new thing which is upcoming up in the world and where we in India which we are lacking. That is where I want to relate and fill up the gap. That is the reason I have applied there and I've been going there, and I hope I go and learn there and acquire as much as I can and come here and deliver it to the Indian athletes.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure that has probably made all the listeners also go wow. So that is indeed a great opportunity, Doc. And when do you take off? When do you leave?
I'll be taking off in the on 27th or 20th July.
Okay, okay, great. So I think it was a great timing to have you on the show. Doc, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us on the podcast. And I must tell our listeners that, this man was in the hospital. He faced some issues of Wi Fi. There was no electricity. He went back home, and that's when he's joined. So, truly a hardworking person. And thank you so much once again for joining on the show and sharing your story.
Thank you, Siju. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure and great honor to have you to be with you on the show. It was a great pleasure.
Please, please. Privilege is all mine. The future star, and I'm sure after you're back, you'll be in high demand, and probably we'll have a catch up while you're in Barcelona also. And to hear the stories, and probably should follow him on his LinkedIn page and Instagram page to get all the updates of which player he's going to meet and treat. But all the very best, Doc, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Siju. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Well, to all the listeners, I hope this episode was worth it, and I'm sure you will love this, enjoy this episode. If you're, especially if you're a Barcelona fan, do give this a listen. Do share this, guys, and we'll come to you always with these such some crazy stories to be told on the podcast in the coming weeks as well. So please do follow and subscribe to the Totally Indian Football Show. We're available on all the audio platforms. I'm your host Siju. Thank you so much.